Okay, well, I think it should be recording now. I'm trying to look for confirmation that it is, but I will. I will.
Yes, it is recording. I can see
Okay.
that it's recording.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all for joining and welcome. And so we are here today for our kickoff webinar. And today we're talking about the art of engaging clients with empowering questions. And let me turn over here to our PowerPoint. So I'm Lindsay Sexton, a programs officer here at First Nations Owista Corporation. And as many of you know, we have started a new program for financial coaching, which started with a pilot group, and many of you are participating in that. We have 6 native CDFIs who are participating in 2 in-person annual meetings and a series of webinars. And so this is our first webinar for that, and we really thank you for joining us and for your partner organizations for joining today as well. We'll be recording this webinar so that you have a copy of it for further reference, and we can send it out to those who were unable to join. So just some Zoom reminders and courtesies. If you could please be present and engaged throughout this presentation and participate in the group sessions that we have for you today. You are automatically muted right now, and so if you have questions, you can either chat them in the chat box, which it looks like people are doing right now, which is great. Usually we have a virtual hand, but it doesn't look like that's here today. So just chat your questions and we can unmute you. So if you want to practice, could everyone go to the chat function and just and type in something that you have an expectation for the day, what you're hoping to get out of this discussion? And thanks for the music, wherever that's coming from.
You might want to mute everybody, Lindsay.
Okay, we've got everyone muted. So if you can you type into the chat box an expectation for today? Great. So I've got learn how to coach better. Any others? This is just a test to make sure everyone's able to do this. Okay. Ask the right questions, better communicate with clients, how to ask better and more direct questions. Great. Okay, keep typing in if you haven't yet, just so that we know you're able to use that function. But we are going to keep going here, and I'm going to introduce our speaker today, our partner from Seven Sisters, Natasha Schulman, and she's going to take it from here. Oh, you're muted, Natasha. Okay, there you go.
Okay, thank you. I'm Natasha Schulman, and I'm with Seven Sisters Community Development Group. Myself and my partner, Vicki Oldman John, have been working with Owista to develop the financial coaching program. We're really excited to be back and reconnecting with y'all today. And we really welcome the new folks who are joining us. Thank you for making the time to be on this session. Vicki and I, we started work on this almost 20 years ago when we developed Building Native Communities Financial Skills for Families, which is Owista's culturally relevant financial education program. And one of the things that we've learned in the process is that financial education gets folks motivated and gets the momentum going to make financial behavior changes, but folks really need ongoing support. And so in working on and developing this financial coaching program, that is really what we are doing, is really trying to build a toolbox for you so that you can continue to work with your clients one-on-one to provide the support they need to improve their financial management skills and reach their financial goals. So we're really excited to support you as you integrate financial coaching into your work. And I want to just once again, just a shout out to First Nations Awista for just your continued investment and support in this process, and just partnering to really make this the product and resource for Native CDFIs that it can be. So next slide. So today, we're going to start with a bit of review around financial coaching and empowering questions. So those of you that were in Denver with us, I'm going to ask that you, I'm going to ask for your patience as we try to really bring everyone who's on this call up to speed in a really condensed way. This session in no way is going to take the place of attending coach training, but what I'm hoping is that we can give those of you who are new a bit of a sense and background so that you can fully engage with us in today's session. Then I'll be doing a demo, and there'll be an opportunity to practice, and then we'll talk a little bit about peer coaching. Next slide. So I want to start by just giving you a really brief overview of coaching. Coaching is a specific way of being. It's a way of listening and really holding space for someone. It starts from a place of curiosity that listens to what's being said and what's not being said in the service of really supporting a client to have their needs and values met. And really, ultimately, to support them in reaching their goals. So coaching is a process that supports your client's self-leadership towards their desired goal. In a coach relationship, we always see our clients as creative, resourceful, and whole beings that are experts in their own lives. The client sets the agenda, and as their coach, you share information and engage in exploration and guide them through a planning process, and ultimately offer yourself as an ongoing champion and accountability partner. So this relationship really aligns with Native values in terms of respect. The whole relationship is founded on respect and trust between the client and the coach. Connection. And this work can't be done without an authentic connection between the two people. Balance in the relationship and self-leadership, which is really, self-sovereignty. Coaching really gives you the opportunity to tap into your client's wisdom and really actively engage them in building self-awareness so that they can identify actions that support the changes that they want to make in their own lives. Next slide. So what is financial coaching? So as a financial coach, you're really weaving together your financial knowledge and your understanding of coaching to support and encourage and provide accountability to clients as they work towards reaching their financial goals. So the key element in financial coaching is that you're supporting the client to focus on strengthening their financial mindset and behaviors. So for instance, your client wants to buy a home or start a business. She knows that she needs to improve her financial situation to do that, so she may come to you asking for help. And as a coach, we spend time developing that relationship, really building trust and understanding her values and priorities. We may ask her to gather some financial information. We may even help her understand that information and see what options are available to her for change. Maybe it's improving her credit or getting out of debt. We support her to really break down her goals into smaller bite-sized pieces. So maybe she starts towards that ultimate goal of buying a house by working at paying off a credit card. So then we support her within that goal to identify steps that she needs to take, and sometimes more aptly is willing to take towards that goal. At every point in the relationship, we honor her, our client, as the expert in her own life. It is not our job to fix her financial situation. It's our job to support her as she learns new financial skills and develops new habits. So ultimately, financial coaching is supporting the development of self-leadership around financial decision-making. Okay, next slide. In Denver, we introduced this model, which is a culturally relevant model that Vicki developed to support your financial coaching. And the model really honors fundamental Native values and relies on your ability as a coach to embrace that mindset of curiosity and compassion while tapping into your intuition. So what you see here is this visual representation of the coaching dialogue. You know, it starts in the middle. You're grounding yourself. You're centering yourself so that you are able to be fully present for your client. Then we move up to connection, and that is really building the relationship, creating that trust and connection so that your client's openly sharing and really sees you as a partner and champion in their process. Then you move on to visioning, which is looking at, you know, what does success look like? And potentially then on to exploring, which is, you know, what challenges are you encountering? Really unpacking the full picture. After that, we move on to acting, which is setting up those action steps that support them moving towards a goal, and then reflecting, what have they learned in the process? And then it starts all over again. So a key skill that you use throughout this process, and the one that we're really here to practice today, is asking empowering questions. Next slide. Thank you. So now I'd like everybody to use the chat box, and I'd like you to tell me, how does this picture make you feel? Make sure that it's to everyone so that I can see, we all can see. How does this picture make you feel? Yeah, so yeah, I agree with you. Like I'm in trouble, accusing me. Yeah, singled out. Yep. It promotes a sense of defensiveness, right? And typically, yeah, like you have to do something. Typically, when we feel defensive, we begin to shut down. And that, you know, we begin to shut down and close off. I don't know if anybody feels like this kind of taps into your inner teenager, but I have a 16-year-old, and I know that when I start to tell him to do anything, it's almost like I can see, they're almost like blinds behind his eyes, and I can just watch them closing. You know, there's a certain defiance and shut down, and then even when he does something, there's a half-heartedness to it. So let me take a sip of water here. When we're being told what to do, we usually don't have a mindset that promotes behavior change and new habits. Next slide. We need our clients to feel capable and motivated to do hard things. So sometimes, you know, when we ask empowering questions, we're really facilitating our clients to arrive at their own solutions. Sometimes that means that we're combining TA with our coaching so that we can show clients that change is possible, and we simultaneously are trying to tap into their internal motivation and strengths so that we can access their inner wisdom and resourcefulness. And empowering questions is really a way to do that. The key elements of empowering questions is that they're open-ended. They cannot be answered by yes or no. They're asked with that heartfelt curiosity. It starts, you know, like I said from the beginning, you know, that coaching starts from that place of curiosity where you're listening to what's being said and what's not being said. You're really tuning into your client. You're inviting your client to ponder and explore. Often in coaching, you know, if we're asking a good question, there'll be silence. It will take a client a moment to think, and in that process, they're often arriving at some new self-awareness. And in terms of construction, empowering questions start with what, how, when, and where. We really try not to use why, because we're trying to avoid any sense of defensiveness, right? Any sense of telling the client what to do or that we're judging them. So again, I'd like you to use your chat box for a second and looking at this picture of Linnell coaching Tracy in Denver. What do you notice about Tracy's body language? Just write the first word that occurs to you looking at this picture. Yeah, it's open, listening, relaxed, friendly. There's connection. This, folks, this is good coaching. She's comfortable. Yeah, this is what you want your clients to feel like. Right? You want them, you are a partner in their process. You are there to support them and believe in them and see what's possible, even if they might not yet see it themselves. This is what we're aiming for. Next slide. So asking empowering questions is an art. It hinges on deep listening and being really curious about what the client is telling you. So I'd like you folks to look real quickly at these 6 questions and write in the chat box which of these are open-ended empowering questions. Which of these 6? Number 1, do you have a budget? Number 2, what surprises you about your credit report? 3, did you open your bank account? What changes can you make in your spending plan? Number 5, why didn't you make your car payments? Number 6, what's your next step? So if I could see some numbers here in the chat box. Yes, 2, 4, 6. Yep, 2, 4, 6. Yep, 4, definitely. Yep. Yep, you guys get it. You get what the construction of the empowering question looks like. It's an open-ended question, cannot be answered with yes and no. It starts with what, how, where, when, right? Just real quickly, just to give you a sense of how easy it is to really construct an empowering question, that first one, number 1, do you have a budget? Can very easily be shifted to an empowering question. So I don't know if somebody wants to, if you want to real quickly write in the chat box, how could you make do you have a budget into an empowering question? Yes. What is your budget for May? I like that, Kristen. Anyone else? Another option might be, how are you tracking your spending? Right? What challenges do you have in creating a budget? How do you usually budget for your household? Yeah, I like all of those, right? The whole idea is that with these questions, we're opening up the discussion. So now that we've talked a little bit about the construction, I want to give you a sense of how different questions can make you feel. So I'd like to ask all of you to just close your eyes for a moment. And I'm going to read 2 questions. And then I'm going to ask you to share with me the difference in how they make you feel. So the first question is, why didn't you make your car payments? And the second question, I'm curious what's getting in the way of your car payments. So sit for a second and sense the difference in how each question makes you feel. I'll read them again. Why didn't you make your car payments? Versus, I'm curious, what's getting in the way of your car payments? I'd like everybody just to write one word in the chat box to describe either the difference or how that second one makes you feel. How does that second question make you feel? Comfortable, willing, mm-hmm. Understanding. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Not judging. Spot on. You know, we're using these questions to open the conversation. We're trying to promote reflection, and we're also really inviting our clients to share. We want our clients to feel seen and heard. We know that a lot of people can feel fear and shame around how they manage their money. And as coaches, we're here to offer the perspective that many people have that feeling. Many people have a similar experience. They are not alone. When you ask empowering questions, you're communicating that you believe in your clients and their ability to learn the skills needed to develop that self-leadership around financial decision-making and ultimately reach their financial goals. By asking them questions, you're really engaging them in the process of developing their own solutions. So the result, as you noted, is that clients are more motivated, they're more comfortable, they're more open, and they're inspired to make changes to meet their financial goals. Does anybody have any questions about empowering questions or the construction of them before we do a demo? Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So now we're going to do a coaching demo. This is not going to be a role play. I love a volunteer who has something that they'd like to be coached on. It does not need to be financial. Something that you're thinking about. You know, this is just going to be a little 10-minute demo, maybe a minute or two less. So this is not, you know, we're not going to come up with resolution. We're just going to explore something. And it's just a great opportunity for someone to feel what coaching feels like. Do I have any volunteers? Come on, somebody.
I think Vicki raised her hand, actually. I didn't know we could raise hands.
How did she raise her hand?
We'll have to have her tell us. So shall we?
Sure.
Okay. Are you there, Vicki?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you, Vicki.
So how you raise your hand is you, on the bottom part, you see participants. So you see where everybody's at, and then you click raise your hand.
Great.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. So thank you for volunteering, Vicki.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate it very much, and so does the group. And I would just like to ask the group that anything that Vicki shares today, that we hold it confidentially. This is a safe space, and I'd like to ask that nothing that's discussed today be shared with anyone outside of this space, even without using Vicki or my name. Okay, Vicki. Is there anything that you need from me before we get started?
No, just thank you for that confidentiality disclaimer. That makes me feel comfortable.
Good. Good.
Okay.
So what would you like coaching on?
So I thought about this. I've been like, what do I want to be coached on? So you know that I'm in this certification program for a new facilitation, and I'm learning all these different tools, and I've been kind of practicing with my teammates. However, part of like coaching, part of my certification is that I have to find victims to practice these tools on. However, what's different about it is I have to find organizations that are willing to trust me to practice some of these tools with them. And I'm a little, I'm getting overwhelmed because I feel like I'm losing time to fulfill my certification because of my work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like juggling a lot of travel, and I'm having a hard time finding just some time to sit down and like, who can I email and say, hey, can I my certification program? I'd love to try this tool. I'll help you all with planning and, whatever. I just haven't had time to do it. And I'm like midway. It's like midterm assessment. And I'm like, the only people I've really tested on is my own team.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm a little overwhelmed, and I'm a little kind of freaked out because I have 6 more months to do this, but I should have done a couple by now. And I've only done maybe one with outside my team.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I want to be coached on.
Mm-hmm. So what I hear you saying is that you're involved in the certification program, mm-hmm. and that you need to get some practice using the tools, and you're feeling a sense of overwhelm about that process, about really balancing what's on your plate with needing to reach out and work with organizations to get through the certification process.
Yep.
Yeah. And I guess my first question is, we could look at this as around, we could look at the mindset around, with which you're looking at this. Is that what would you like to focus our time around the mindset, or would you like to focus our time on really thinking about how to move forward with identifying organizations that you could work with?
That's a good question. I feel like they're both important. I guess for this call, maybe strategy. So at least then I feel like I have some sort of movement to do something.
Okay. So what's important about how you approach identifying these organizations?
What's important is I want to make sure, like, who I'm selecting or who I'm reaching out to, that I already have an existing relationship with, because then I know they already trust me, mm-hmm. and they trust my work, and that they're open to playing with me. So if the tool I'm still practicing, like, it's not the tool that's the problem, it would be me. So if I mess up, that they will laugh with me and we'll figure it out together. And so it'll show where I need to practice some of these tools. So what's important is that I need to find people that I already have existing relationships with that I trust.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big epiphany right now. I'm like, oh. Who do I know?
So what does success look like?
Success looks like if I could find 2 organizations at least that I'm willing to, test some of these tools with, and they're really happy with it, and then then I feel good. Like, yeah, part of it is success is that I really feel comfortable with the tools, and I know how to use the tools, and I can start using the tools as part of my planning and facilitation, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what I hear you saying is, I hear you identifying that you'd like to work with at least 2 organizations, but I also hear you identifying a goal around kind of personal mastery. So really understanding and knowing the tools yourself, as well as going through the process with at least 2 organizations.
Yeah, what came to my mind as I was saying that out loud is, it's like getting a new, I've never ever used a chainsaw, but it's like I have a new chainsaw, mm-hmm. and I want to know how to use this. I kind of know what it does, and I know what it can do, but it's a matter of picking it up and really using it. It's easy for me to use it within my team because you all trust me, and we, but it's when I go outside my circle, then I get a little, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which flows into the next question, which is, what's stopping you?
Part of it is, it's a couple of things. It's the timing. I haven't really sat down and I'm going through my Rolodex to see, okay, who can I call and who can I connect with and explain to them what I'm doing. So part of that is the timing, to really map out some time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess another part of it is the fear of like, hey, and because I'm really doing this on on a pro bono, because so that's again extra time coming out of my calendar work time to do this, but it's important enough for me to do it. I just have to make it a priority, and it hasn't been too. It's been hard these past 2 months.
Are you open to talking a little bit about the fear?
Sure. I mean, the fear is really like with anything new. I think for most people is when you try something new, of course, you want to master it the first time. And if it doesn't, that's where I get a little nervous because, a lot of what I do, I try to make sure before I do it, I've at least mastered it before using it. And so now I'm really going in unknown waters. I mean, I've been in this place before with coaching, but I felt like it was different because it was one-on-one. But here it's in a group setting. So that makes me uncomfortable.
So I'm really curious, you just mentioned, you just mentioned another arena in your life, like when you were going through your coaching certification, right? Same idea, right? That might have been more of a table saw. And so you had a new piece of equipment, right, in your toolkit, and you were learning how to use it. And I'm curious, kind of what helped you step into that challenge to move past that fear?
So I had a coaching session on this one too, and what came to me was the butterfly, and it was like having fun. I like to have fun, and I was like, well, do this coaching thing like it's an adventure and it's fun, and then it won't be so scary, So, and that's what I did. I'm like, well, I'm just having fun. I'm playing, with this tool, and that's when I started to reach out to people. I'm like, hey, I'm doing coaching. Do you want to be my victim? And people were like, sure. And so it worked. And I mean, I feel like I could use the same strategy, but again, I feel like I'm a little worried because there's more than one person. So if I'm doing it with it's somewhat like strategic planning, but in a different way. And so I'm not taking one person with me on a journey. I'm taking several people with me on a journey. And that makes me a little nervous.
I can hear that.
Yeah.
And how do you hold playfulness in this space with a group?
How do I hold playfulness?
How can you hold
How can I? It's so funny. The first thing that came to my mind is like a circus. I'm like, yeah, which is really.
So tell me about the circus.
Well, because we're all like I see different acts, I guess, and really some of these tools are like different acts. They serve a different purpose, and so it's like telling them like, here's the itinerary for today's circus, and so that's what came to me is just like, what one thing I'm digressing a little bit, but one thing that I just realized that was an aha moment is I've been telling folks when I use some of the other tools is that I'm playing with this tool, and so I'm really upfront and transparent that it might totally bomb. And if it does, then we know, and if it doesn't, then we're in a good place. So it's kind of like my little disclaimer that I'm still learning how to use this.
Yes.
So it's kind of like the circus act is like, okay, we're going to go to this and have fun, but in the end, we may be totally confused, but we'll be okay.
I'm hearing really sort of this dual, right? Because even your language is saying playing, right? Which supports that idea, that freedom of, that freedom to make mistakes and just to be in the sandbox together, right? To be at the circus and, you're juggling and something might fall. But, and I also hear a little bit, still a little bit of fear in that, but it might bomb, right? And I guess the question that's occurring to me is, so what? What happens? Right?
Well, well, I mean, nothing will happen besides the fact that I'll have a group see me bomb.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, bombed. I guess what would happen, I mean, nothing really would happen. I mean, they know that I'm testing, and it would definitely be a learning moment. I mean, that's how we get good at what we get good at, right? We have several bombs, and so
right.
It would be, it's just that,
I just want to say that back to you. It would be a learning moment.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it all is. It's a big learning moment. Right? And I have a last question, because we are going to need to wind up just in order to get what we need to get done today. But my question is, how does your experience as a Native woman and mother give you wisdom to move forward on this issue?
I can say as a mother that, and even though I have, young teen and a young adult, I still don't know what I'm doing. I mean, so it's like a continuous learning curve as a mother, and how to handle a baby to a teenager to a young adult. And I feel like it's continuously learning, so that I see that applicable to this tool, or I should say several tools, is that it's evolving, that and I'm in that place. And it's just hard sometimes when you're in this vulnerable place to put yourself out there, but I'm doing it because for me, it's that I want to find new ways to have strategic conversations with groups that can make shifts. And so as a mom, I want to do my part to try to, do what I need to do to help them to have well-rounded people when they get older. Yeah. And sometimes I bomb, and sometimes I nail it,
Mm-hmm. I hear in your voice right now, when you just said that's a really grounded voice.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really grounded voice. Sometimes I bomb and sometimes I nail it. And this is a learning process.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Well, one way that you can carry this moment and this learning forward into the next week?
I think the biggest learning moment or epiphany for this conversation was that, I've been here before, and it's not like it's new, and that I really need to kind of tap back into that playfulness. And I think the other epiphany was that I need to find groups that I know trust me and are comfortable with me enough to play, that are willing to play, and also have time to play. But also, I think the other thing is finding groups who are kind of stuck. Are you stuck? Because I have a tool that might help you get unstuck. So it definitely there's ideas percolating, and I just need to really sit down and look at my calendar and carve out an hour or two a week, and intentionally reach out to folks and make calls and get it rolling so I can get certified.
Okay, so how am I going to know that happens?
You will check in. I will let you know. I've reached out to some folks, and that's how you'll know. At least I've done that part. Mm-hmm.
Great. All right. Thanks, Vicki.
Thank you, Natasha.
So next slide. I'm curious what folks noticed in that discussion. Use the chat box. What did you notice? A lot of reflection. Yeah. Is there anything that surprised you about the dialogue? I'd even be curious. Y'all are coaches. What question do you wish I asked? Is there a question that you wish I asked? So surprised that I talked so much. Anything else? Okay. Well, I want to give you guys a little time to do some practice coaching yourself. So let's go on to the next slide. So now is really an opportunity for you all to do some practice coaching. I want to remind everyone to please honor confidentiality, to focus on open-ended, empowering questions. And for those of you that were in Denver, you might remember the acronym that Vicki shared, which is WAIT. Why am I talking? To Lakota's point, as a coach, you can talk less, listen more. Silence is okay. And that really means that you've asked a good question and that your client is thinking. Try to relax and just let that conversation unfold. Next slide. So while Lindsay is setting up the coaching pairs, I think we're going to need to gauge. I know that in some of your locations, you've got more than one person. What we're going to be doing is we're going to pair y'all and give you a few minutes, hopefully 5 minutes each way, to do a little bit of coaching. But we need to know who has multiple people at their location, because you all will just need to pair off and work with each other. So I don't know if you can write in the chat box if you've got, if you could write if you have more than one person at your location. For those of you who have more than one person at your location, we'll ask for you to pair up with each other. And what I'd like is for there to be 5 minutes of coaching each way. So I don't see anybody here. So does that mean that nobody has more than one person at their location?
Sonia said she has more, but okay, that might be it.
Okay. It looks like the 4 bands folks will go to the training room.
Okay, great.
So there are 9 people from 4 bands. So just to give you guys from 4 bands, to tell you what we're going to do 5 minutes coaching each way. It'd be great if you could pair off. It looks like if you've got 9 people, one person will have to be an observer. And we'll need you to time yourself. And after each person coaches, it would be great if the client can share 1 or 2 strengths that they felt in the coaching. Maybe a suggestion to make the coaching more impactful, but 1 or 2 strengths that they heard when the person was coaching. I'd like to ask that you use real situations, and clients, please don't role play. Please use a real scenario in your life, and be authentic. If you need direction, the person whose first name is in the alphabet can coach first. And Lindsay will put these questions, the example empowering questions, in the chat box, so that when she breaks you into groups, you all will be connected with each other, but you'll also, in the chat box, have access to seeing these questions.
Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we'll come back together in 10 minutes to quickly close out.
Okay, well, I think people are in the rooms. Oops. Natasha? Hello? Hello? Hmm.
Taking the time yet? Hi, Lindsay.
Hi. Keep
Have
going,
you,
sorry.
have you taken the time, Tina, to go ahead and uh, identify your fixed and flexible and luxury expenses?
I have not.
Okay, so what are some ways we could have you? I mean, we're not going to be able to probably do that today, but um, are you, is your day one where you can identify your fixed, flexible, luxury?
He's at an age where, hey,
Hey. I didn't mean to put you in a room.
Linnell's coaching me on how to manage my teenage son.
Good. Will you just tell me when do I bring everyone back?
Yeah, I just sent you an email because I was like, I think at like 12:58 because we're just too tight for time.
Okay.
So I think that's what we have to do.
Okay, good. Okay, enjoy.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Hi, everybody. So I know that we only have 2 minutes left, and I really want to honor everyone's time. So,
Hey, Natasha, I
Yeah.
think when I closed the sessions, it gave them a minute. So they actually have 30 seconds left. And
oh, okay. A few people look like they're back.
okay.
I can't tell, though, because it could be the 4 bands folks may not be back because they could still be coaching.
Yeah. Oh. And can you still see what's up on the screen?
No, I just see you.
Oh, okay. Maybe
Thanks.
tell me, because now it should have ended. Can you see?
Nope, I still see you.
I see you
So
and everybody.
while folks are coming back, I love it. Given that we're very tight for time, I'd love to see folks. Whoa! I'd love to see folks write in the chat box an empowering question that had an impact on you, that your coach asked you, or that you heard asked in your coaching. An empowering question that had an impact on you. And while folks are doing that, I'm actually going to move on to just peer coaching. So if you go to the next slide, and then I'll go back and read any empowering questions that folks share. Just before we sign off, I just want to talk very briefly about an opportunity for this group, which is peer coaching, and that would be this would be an opportunity to coach each other as a way to strengthen your skills and get some constructive feedback. In the coaching that I did at Vicki was talking about, having that freedom to play and just kind of get in and increase your comfort with asking these questions in the coaching process. So Lindsay will be sending out an email this next week asking if anybody would like a peer coaching partner, which would be another person from this group who you could set up your own times when you connect and just get on the phone for, let's say, an hour and coach half an hour each way. It's a terrific opportunity to build your skills and really support each other in learning and strengthening your coaching. It's also a great opportunity to work with someone who is working with a similar client base to your own. Now, I want to go back real quickly to look at some of the great questions people said. And one was, what can you do to move forward and do what you know you need to do? I love that last question. Do what you know you need to do. That is really showing that belief that the client holds the wisdom and that they know what they need to do. What challenges are you having? Yep. What wisdom does your experience as a Native man provide you? Yep. I love that. So very quickly, I know I want to honor our time being at an hour. If anyone has any questions about anything that we talked about today, feel free to put them in the chat box or to send them to Lindsay, who can send them to me, and I can respond to you directly. Is there anything that you'd like to close out and say, Lindsay?
No, I just want to give you a big thank you, Natasha, for leading us today, and thank you everyone for participating. We will record the session we did, and we'll send that out to you along with the information about the peer coaching opportunity and the next webinar that we'll have in July where Change Machine will join us. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Take care, folks.
Thanks. Bye.